Next station, London, the flip and write game of sketching subway lines. Sometimes I don't even have to come up with a description. The subtitle is good enough. This is a competitive game for 1 to 4 players, and the solo version is very natural, it's very organic, because even when you're playing against other players, there's no interaction. You'll be working on your thing, they'll be working on their thing, and then you play the next round. And so it is multiplayer solo even when you are playing with other people. And if you're playing pure solo, then you simply try to beat your previous score. And also, full disclaimer, that is the version that I played, and I'll give you more details later. So each player will have a map such as this one. There's a nice pad of maps the game comes with. They're also double-sided, so you're definitely gonna have enough for a while. And then you have these 4 pencils that will be shared by the players. The game lasts 4 rounds, and in each round you'll be using a different pencil to create a different line. So right now I'm holding this pencil. I'll start from here and I'll be creating the light blue line, while the player sitting next to me is maybe playing with pink, another player with green, another player with dark blue, dark purple, not sure. Once I'm done, the round is over, I give this pencil to the next player, and I receive this pencil. And now, starting from there, I'm building the pink line, and then I'm building the green line starting from there, and so on and so forth. And if you are a solo player, then you simply play with all the 4 rounds, take a pencil, complete a line, and then use the next pencil, and so on and so forth. So that's the general idea. Flip and write. So what are we gonna flip? We're gonna flip cards from this deck here. This deck has 2 kinds of cards, the ones with the pink background and the ones with the light background. When we flip a card, simply then we'll use that symbol to draw on the map, and we'll see what that does. But what is how you do that. But what is interesting is that the round has a variable number of turns, because the round will be over when the last pink card is drawn. So if it is at the very bottom, then you'll play through the whole deck. But if it's not, then the round will last a smaller number of turns. So that's an interesting plot twist. You can count for sure on some of the cards being there. You know that the 5 pink ones will always be there. The other ones, possibly. Now, when you start building, you start from the station corresponding to your current pencil, and you need to move to connect that station to a station with that symbol. So right now I'm building toward squares. There are a couple of rules that you need to follow. If you look carefully, you will see that there are like half trace lines there. And the easiest way to teach the game or to learn the game is to say that you have to cover them. That tells you that you cannot go through like the weird stuff like from there to there, because there's no pre-line there. But this would be a move. This would be another legal move. Of course, you cannot go through stations that are not the current one. Right now I'm going to square, and that's all I'm going to do. And so there was a square, and suppose that I decide to do so. That's it. That's it for now. Now, once you build your first connection, then you have the 2 extremes that have been created, and you can only build out of those. So right now, I flipped another card, and this other card is a triangle. So I need to connect either this one or this one to a triangle, and suppose I decide to do so. So far, so good. But that also means that the next card, I cannot connect from there. Again, I have to build from the extremities. And so, for example, I get a wild card. That symbol means I can connect either of these to anything that I want. And suppose, what should I do? What should I do right now? Suppose that I decide to go there. There you go, build into that pentagon. Now, if I draw this card, that creates an exception to the rule I just told you, that usually you have to build from the extremities of your line. If this card is revealed, you immediately reveal another one, and now each player will build to a triangle, but they can start from wherever in the line. So basically that is what will allow you to say, build a branch out. So I need to connect to a triangle, but this time, because of the card, I can start wherever I want. And so that's how it works. And now I drew a square, and then maybe I wanted that connection there. That would be legal. I drew a circle, and now I'm going there for whatever reason. And now I drew another circle, and I want to go there. So that's pretty much how the general idea works until, again, all cards, all pink cards have been played. And so actually that would complete the round because I drew all pink cards. Now you see there is a wild station here with the question mark. That means that any card, you can go there with any card following all the other rules. Another thing, once you have your first line, you cannot go through other lines. So I could not draw a pink from there to there. However, it's possible to connect to stations, so that would be legal, for example. But again, I could not cross there, which I did couple of times, the first couple of times I played the game. So once we are done with a line, we need to score that line. Again, 4 rounds, each will score. Now the board has 9 main sectors. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8. That's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Great mathematician at work here. Also, I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can. There are also special mini sectors here. So you have 9 main ones and then 4 mini ones. Now, suppose that at the end of the round, my blue line count was like that. So to score, the first thing I check is the number of sectors that I connected. So that counts as 1, the mini one. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I would write a 6 there. Then I look at the single sector where I have the most stations. I believe it is this one that connects 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in there, and I write that. Also, each time I go under the river Thames, that's 2 points, and so that would give me 4 points because I went under the river twice with the blue line. So I multiplied the number of sectors I connected by the number of stations that I have in the single highest, most connected sector. That would be 30. I add the points from going under the river. That scored me 34, which is pretty good. Also, again, that's a ton of connections I did there. I don't know that I would be able to do that in real life. But that's what you're trying to achieve. Your big scoring is connect many sectors while at the same time having one in which you are connecting a lot of places. So that's the basic scoring for each round. Again, each with a different line based on a different color. Then at the end of the game, we score for each station that connects more than one line. For example, that section, I have one station right now that connects 2 different lines. So I write there the number of stations that connects 2 lines, the number of stations that connect 3, and the number of lines that connect 4, and each is worth the number of points. Each section, each station that has 3 lines going to or through it is 5 points. Each station that has 2 lines going through it, 2 points. And so I add those. Also, you may have noticed that some stations look pretty spiky, a little bit spiky. Those are tourist places, and yes, that wild space there is a touristic place. Each time I connect one of those, I can color or cross out one of these bubbles. So maybe it will look like this at the end because you will have connected those with different pencils. At the end of the game, I look at the leftmost number that is still visible, and that's how many points I score for that. So I add together the points from each line plus the tourist sites plus the stations that were connected with multiple lines. There are 2 mini optional expansions that may give you extra points. You total your points from all sources, and at the end of round 4, you're able to determine who is the winner, who is, of course, the player with the highest score. Next Station London is a light, simple, fun solo game. Even if you played against other players, there's no interaction. And yeah, the only variable is, of course, how well other players are doing sets the score that you're trying to beat. That is really the only thing, and it's not something that you will affect through your decisions. And of course, there are advantages. We have had a lot of games in the last decade or so as part of the renaissance of tabletop gaming that we're experiencing that do something similar. And the advantage is, of course, reduced conflict, a more friendly atmosphere around the table, not so much friendly banter anymore, but we knew that some of that banter wasn't all that friendly to start with. That was just an expression. Of course, if your players don't like conflict, they just like to be, busy in their own decision making, this is the perfect game for that. Again, I played it solo and I enjoyed doing it that way, and I do not know that this is going to be the game that I take out of game nights when we want to play a filler or a flip and write. Because, again, I enjoyed it solo, and I don't know that I want to teach it to people. I do not know that I want people to go through the process of learning it. Because although the game is very simple in essence, there are just a couple of rules there on how to build, what's allowed or what's not allowed, that are very easy to miss the first couple of times that you play the game. Matter of fact, it took me at least 4 tries before I finished the game without making any mistake. And again, I was there playing solo, so no problem there. But one time I just have 2 lines crossing, not being at the station crossing, later realized, oh, I did this, last turn. Or I realized that I'm building a branch out when that wasn't allowed. It seems simple enough, but it's also easy to miss. And I know that's what happened to me. And so I just feel that the risk introducing other 3 players to the game, that halfway through the game, oh no, I did that thing. And I don't know that at the point you could really rewind time, redo it, and figure out would have mattered. So to me, I just flipped the sheet or tossed the sheet aside if it was the side B already and started over. I just spent a couple of minutes there. With a group, I think it could be a little more annoying. But again, your group, you don't have that problem. You make that assessment. Good for you. I don't see any big advantage for me to play with other players because of the possibility of mistakes early on when I enjoyed the solo version so much. And this is something super important I want to point out. Once it started clicking, it became very addictive. And it was an afternoon, my family was busy doing other stuff, and I started playing game after game after game. It became very addictive because I got a good score, and I thought I could do better, and the next game it'd be like a little worse. I can easily do better next time I see my mistake. And I try again, and I do even worse. Oh my gosh, now I'm really hooked. And I keep playing and playing and playing. As a solo game, or again, in a game group where you took the time to make sure that you ironed out the possibility of mistakes, I think it works very well. It is interesting. It is a fun game, and it has a nice sense of escalation, of mounting challenges, because as the game progresses, some lines are already there. The 4th line you're building in between, through, using stations, and around the 3 other lines, which is a great thing because you want to have those stations that connect to a lot of different lines, but you may find yourself trapped in it. Then you get to a point where if I connect there, I get that awesome connection, but then I realize not many other options are out. I can only connect to, say, circles and triangles, but then I look at the cards that have been played already, have been flipped already. I'm like, okay, there's a good chance of getting a circle and a triangle. Maybe I'll risk that. So there is a push or luck element here, which was not obvious the first time that I played, and you can just choose to play safe. Always just spread out as much as possible. But when it gets to the 3rd and the 4th line, if you really want to get to the big scoring, those delicious stations that connect many lines, then there's probably going to be some risk that you're going to have to take. And just in general, the key scoring idea of these 2 mutually exclusive things, spread out as much as possible and concentrate as much as possible. Those are the things that you multiply, so you're trying to do both. It's a simple idea, but it really is the linchpin of the design, because it drives so much what you're trying to do, while at the same time you have these other peripheral objectives that you're also trying to complete. So many different ways of scoring that drive gameplay in different directions, and again, make it interesting, giving different things to think about and to consider in different stages of the game. So definitely, for a simple game with such simple rules, but with some possibilities of mistake early on, Next Station London is fun. It has interesting decisions. It's fun to draw the map and see how the map works in different ways. All those visceral advantages of flip and write, roll and write games in which we get to alter the game as we play. All those advantages are there in a package which, again, looks nice and is easy to play and is full of interesting decisions. So definitely a fun, simple, light game.